Good day everyone, I am Czar one of the reporters of Group 14 to discuss about coping with frustration, conflict, and stress. Together with Ruth Quijano and Jonathan Rumea, we would like you to be familiarized with our objectives. First is to know more how to deal with conflicts. Second is to know how to cope with stress and make out defense mechanisms. Lastly is to compromise reactions and substitute abilities. And for that, let's begin. To start my discussion, let me first define some of the terms. First is coping. Coping refers to the way in which we deal to the situations. This includes promises, stimuli, and threats that we are frequently faced with. For instance, while waiting for the arrival of the baby, fathers-to-be may smoke a lot, and this makes them feel less tense. Second is adaptation. It is similar to coping, except the way that it notes biological accommodation. A baby, for instance, may exemplify frequent defecation and frequent crying while exposed to a totally new environment. The baby tries then to adapt itself to the new temperature conditions. The third is the adjustment. It is a continuous process in which it aims to satisfy one's needs rather than fixed or static. A new teacher may seem doesn't know at first how to go about performing his task, but later the new teacher gets used to the rudiments of teaching. Now let's go to frustration. Frustration occurs when our progress towards a goal is blocked or delayed. There are these four sources of frustration. First is the physical environment. Examples of this are the noises, long line, traffic jams. The second one is the social environment. Some examples of this are the parental rejection, social and racial discrimination, and the inability to meet the age requirement of a specific job applied. The third source is the non-social factors. Examples of these are blackouts and water interruptions. Fourth one is the personal limitations. Personally handicapped person, lack of self-control, lack of specific ability are examples of this type or source of frustration. Each of us have different ways on how to deal with the frustrations that we are experiencing with. Consider, for instance, there are two students, student A and student B. The student A is content to wait in the long line in order for him to go to the elevator to get a ride. And the student B, on the other hand, doesn't have the patience to wait and fall in line to get to the elevator, but instead, he goes to another route and climbs up the stairs. Student A and student B exemplifies different levels of what we call frustration tolerance. Student A exemplifies high frustration tolerance, and student B exemplifies low frustration tolerance. Therefore, frustration tolerance is the ability to endure anxiety without resorting to maladaptive defense artifice that varies from person to person. Now, let's go to conflict. What is conflict? According to Kurt Lewin, it is when a person experiences desires or demands that are incompatible with each other. There are four types of conflict. First is the approach-approach conflict or the double approach conflict. It is a type of conflict when a person experiences two positive desires. Consider, for instance, a boy who is hungry, and to satisfy his hunger is his goal. Now, in that goal, there are two positive motives that arise. The first one is that he wants to buy an ice cream, and the second one is he wants to buy a popcorn. The boy must only choose one type of food because his money is only sufficient to buy one kind of food. That is an illustration of the approach-approach conflict. This conflict is characterized by the word or. Examples are a handsome suitor or an intelligent admirer, or a captivating novel or a nice motion picture. This approach conflict is easy to resolve only when the one positive motive is more in magnitude than the other positive motive. Now, the second type of conflict is the approach avoidance conflict. Here, a person has one goal, and that goal has positive and negative aspect. Consider, for instance, a man wants to be happy. That is his goal. The positive aspect is that a man is very in love with his girlfriend, but at the same time, the negative aspect occurs that the man is very hesitant to propose a marriage with his girlfriend because he suffers from a financial incapacity. This approach avoidance conflict is characterized by the word "and". Examples are parents both cursed and respected, a prostitute both despised and caressed. When a person is having a hard time whether to accept or reject a goal, we can say that he is ambivalent towards it. This approach avoidance conflict is the most difficult conflict to resolve. The third conflict, the avoidance conflict. In this conflict, a person is between two undesirable demands. Consider, for instance, a man's fear of marriage may lead his girlfriend to break up with him, or they may still have a relationship but it is unstable. That are the two negative aspects. This conflict is characterized by the word "or", a comfortless failure or depressing study, or a spinsterhood or a disagreeable marriage. Now, the fourth type of conflict is what we call the double approach avoidance conflict or the multiple conflict. In here, a person is between two or more goals or has two or more goals, each of those goals have both positive and negative aspects. It's characterized by the words "and" or "and". Example is money and work or travel and debt. A student who decides whether to go to college or find a work or job may exemplify this type of conflict. Each of those goals has both positive and negative aspects. This type of conflict is easy to resolve only when the approach tendency of one of the choices is much stronger than the other choice. And now let's discuss the remaining topics. Let's first talk about value conflicts. Value conflicts usually arise from the contradictory demands imposed by the society. Examples of this are sexual desires versus restraints, conformity versus non-conformity, and integrity versus self-reliance. The next one is the unconscious conflicts. These conflicts are the one that is hidden. A person may not know that he is in conflict or doesn't know the source of this conflict. For instance, an adolescent doesn't know the conflict that is between him, his urge to be independent or his urge to be still nurtured and protected by his parents, exemplifies the unconscious conflict. Hope you have learned and enjoyed my report. Meanwhile, I'll give the floor to the next reporter, Ruth Tiano, for her discussion. And for that, I have to say goodbye for now.